Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Jeff Frick here, coming to you from actually running remote in Austin, Work 20XX on the road. I'm excited to get out and see so many friends and community people that I've met over the last few years in this thing, to actually see him in person. And this is one of those guys. I got to see him in New York sometime, but here we are in Austin. So our next guest, he's Phil Kirschner, the founder of PK Consulting. Phil, great to see you.
Good to see you in the flesh.
In the
here
flesh.
in Austin.
Yeah.
Yes, in New York next time.
So you're in this interesting little time. You're no longer at McKinsey, you're at WeWork, and now we're just going to see what's coming up next. So you're doing a very productive thing here with PK Consulting.
I'm doing my own thing again, which is interesting because I did it between WeWork and McKinsey. I never thought I would work for myself. It was a little bit out of necessity. Having WeWork kind of implode the way it did when I was there the first time. It was a fascinating time to try it, I guess,
Right.
in a moment of extreme demand for workplace strategist types in kind of core pandemic times.
Yeah.
But it taught me a huge amount about like what it means to do individual business development and websites and writing and all these things being on your own. So fast forward after doing that for about a year and a half and then 3 years at McKinsey, thankfully, when I chose to leave, I kind of just blew the dust off of my CRM and turned on the machine again, and it didn't feel so crazy, which, as I think about even like for my kids who are very young, but it's going to be much more common for them probably in 10, 15, 20 years to be weaving in and out of different forms of employment or gig work, or I do half and half. So having done it myself has been really informative and fun.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, my grandfather worked for AT&T for years and years and years and years and retired and got his big fat pension and then blew all the actuarials because he lived to 100. That's a different story. Let's talk about some of your episodes on Workline. I think you got some really cool things. So one of them recently talked about the 4 forces of inertia, or excuse me, the 4 forces that are holding people back.
Yeah, so you're amazing that you've gone and checked that today because that's coming out on Thursday, but I'm happy to tell you about it now.
Ahead of the curve.
That's okay, you're ahead of the curve. I know, I really appreciate it. Yeah, so what you hit at, despite writing and speaking for years, I'd never kind of focused my writing in any way, especially on LinkedIn. One day it might have been very data-oriented McKinsey reports, and then the next day me spouting my mouth off about something a broker said somewhere about the office. I don't know, and everything in between. So I launched a newsletter called the Workline 2 months ago now.
Right.
That word came really from the idea of like trying to guide people on the path to the future work instead of just shouting about what it's going to be.
Yes.
And I think having started as a practitioner, I've always been sort of see myself and seen by others as a bit of like a Sherpa. Like, come with me. I want to help you do the weird change thing.
Right.
So like, I will help you on the work line. And
Right.
then the sort of double entendre I realized after the fact is I'm very tall, as you now know, in person, and have a mixed background of IT, HR, and real estate. So I tend to think I can like see over the lines of the organization and help people that way. So that's where the name came from.
I like it. And I love the graphic. I've told you I love
yes,
the graphic.
my half head,
Yeah,
gray
you're
hair,
half a head.
easy to see.
Half a Phil.
But I've been trying to share practical stories that people really in the weeds of leading change for workplace and the future of work can hopefully use to inspire something, to unblock barriers to change. I'm still exploring with what I'm talking about kind of week over week, profiles of individual companies like Atlassian, kind of explainers on the nature of clear digital ways of working or sharing our work with rhythms, and the newsletter that will come out this coming Thursday, I'm not sure when this video comes out, is on something called the 4 forces diagram, or the forces diagram, which is part of the jobs
Good old
to be
Michael
done
Porter,
framework.
a new version of Michael Porter here.
Well, there's multiple forces diagrams, right? Like McKinsey's got one, everybody's got one, but the 4 forces diagram is designed to help figure out, again, for the jobs to be done framework. So it comes from this mindset of we as humans hire and fire services and products to meet certain criteria for us.
Okay.
And if you're thinking about, I used to buy like iPhones and now I'm going to switch to like Google phones, what's holding me back or pushing me in that direction? So it describes literally 2 forces in the direction that I want to go or I want someone to go. So what's pushing me from my current state, what's pulling me from my future state or to the future state, and then what anxiety might I have about that future state, and what inertia or habit do I have that holds me back. And it is not the most comprehensive or complicated model that I know for getting to the bottom of resistance to change, but it's a really easy one for anyone to try, and I hope that my little explainer encourages someone to give it a whirl if they feel stuck with something.
Right. Do you find on the four forces? I always think of aviation,
Yeah,
right? Because you have gravity and
Yep.
you have lift, and then you have propulsion and you have drag, and it's all
Exactly
a big
the same.
trade-off, right? You can change the wing, but you're always picking up one and giving up the other.
Exactly.
Do you find those are pretty interrelated forces?
I mean, I think that if that model works, like 100%. It's just about balance and something that's really, I'll hear a lot for workplace change, like, oh, the users don't like it. But the group leading that change hasn't been guided through the process to figure out, like, why don't they? Is it that they don't like the thing you're selling them? Or they're actually so in love with the current state or have not been convinced that anything is wrong with the current state that they just don't want to move.
Right.
It's not even like they don't like what you're selling. They've not decided that they need anything.
Right.
And it's not so difficult to distinguish, but it's very uncommon. So many change programs just leap right into tell them about the new thing, and they're going to figure it out, and they're going to love it, which almost never happens.
Yeah, never happening. Okay, had another really cool one talking about the vibe. You know, I mean, one of the huge topics of this conference is all about culture and engagement and well-being and all these things that are very much rolled up into vibe.
Yeah.
So talk about the vibe and how the vibe is changing and how you get a better vibe.
Yeah, so it came from two things. Like, so as someone who consumes a lot of newsletters, I was seeing a lot of people talking about kind of the vibe economy at this moment, the particular one being vibe coding. So AI tools allowing people to go from like idea to simple product
Just like
very
that.
quickly, even if you don't know how to code. And once it makes something for you, that you're just like, yeah, I like this, I don't like that. It's all very loosey-goosey, and was inspired originally by a tweet from one of the original kind of Tesla AI guys. And so first it was vibe coding and then vibe revenue and all this stuff. And I then coined the phrase vibe officing because I think we're at this moment where technology should be able to help us like just be more flowy through the built environment to
Right.
seek things that we need for ourselves or to be with others. And maybe we go to our own office, maybe we go to some kind of third place. Maybe one day we're taking autonomous vehicles because I see Waymos driving around
Waymos are
outside.
here.
Yeah. And it shouldn't be that hard to just go with the flow instead of the static model that we're used to. But it relates to existing real estate conversations because a lot of designer, architect, and workplace types will talk about vibes as like the noun. Oh, there's good vibes here. We have coffee shop vibes.
Right.
And then there are people who will plan spaces to be vibrant as or kind of like vibrancy, but vibrant is the adjective.
Right.
Even CBRE in a major kind of occupancy insights report a couple of months ago talked about like vibrancy indexes and how many people you need to be in a place in order for it to feel vibrant.
To have it vibrant.
But my model as like vibe officing, I sort of imagine it's the verb. It's the thing we do.
Right.
It's not just the energy around us or what you're trying to design, but it is the action that we take and the way that technology, somewhat counterintuitively, lets us be more human about those choices.
Right. This is a perfect segue. You have another one on really taking the pulse. So what is the vibe? You got to take the pulse and really getting a better feel for what is going on in the organization.
Yeah, and so that article was about really understanding like rhythms of the business or cadences of the business, the major heartbeat or pulse moments, either for regular meetings, regular decisions, regular communications, regular events. And it's something that I think we take for granted and something also that leaders tend to know intuitively, like board meetings are the first week of every other month or something, right?
Whatever.
They know.
Right.
But it's not transparent hardly ever. And in particular in a more distributed and remote environment where like people are coming and going a lot of the time, I think there's tremendous value in the transparency of those rhythms so that I can plug myself into them.
Right.
Whether
right.
I'm planning gatherings, like, oh, you shouldn't try to plan a team gathering the same week of every other month when the board meets.
Right.
Just like, you can't do that. And it's so seemingly difficult to create the mega calendar of every regular meeting or every regular cadence in every group in the whole company. But again, AI maybe makes that possible today.
Right.
So that if I'm just trying to plan something, even a new rollout of a product, Airbnb was just on the stage saying that they do 2 major releases a year. And that guides everything for everybody, right? And like that's more than a pulse. It's a major drumbeat.
Right.
So at that level, it's transparent. But when you get down to individual departments, why shouldn't I be able to know when the marketing group that I'm not in meets for regular community events? Because maybe I have an idea that I can bring to them. And absent that information, and I've experienced this firsthand, you're sending emails and having calls or meetings just to find out when some other group gets together. And that's crazy.
Right.
Like, I should just be able to look that up and then assert something if I have ideas for how to best use of my time in that rhythm.
Right. And I love how you extend it to really helps define the culture and the vibe, because like you said, I have to chase every stupid email to find out every stupid thing that's going on.
Yeah, we need a culture of search first, as somebody said earlier this morning.
So last time we talked, I don't think Local Law 97 had come in New York. I think it has since then. I know you're not super directly involved in big transactions, but I'm curious your perception. How has that changed things? I know when last we talked, you said there's kind of this middle tier of buildings that are going to be in real trouble, and this might be the tipping point. So has any of that come to fruition?
Yeah,
What's going on?
I'm involved in that. I live in a building that is subject to Local Law 97. So for anyone listening to this who doesn't know,
not just offices,
not
but
just offices,
apartments
any building over
and
25,000 square feet.
Okay.
So New York City now has an energy efficiency law. Buildings get grades, and over time there will be penalties if you can't meet certain requirements. And it's been very real for me as an owner of an apartment in a building that has to comply with this law. And hearing our kind of co-op board talk about, the first line of compliance, like, we'll be okay. The second line of compliance, we will probably have to do a big thing. Replace a boiler, do something like big and dramatic, which like the residents will have to pay for in some way. And then when you look beyond that one, beyond maybe like level 2, you're going to start to get into, and this is maybe where the interesting parallels for offices, we as a building community are going to have to start to cooperate and behave and even collaborate in certain ways, because the fines and the measurement come at total building load. And that is influenced by the behavior of individual apartments.
Right.
So if we all have certain kinds of equipment, we all have terrible light bulbs, whatever it is, we're blowing air conditioners 24/7, we're going to screw ourselves, like, as a building.
Right.
And you could think about that from the occupier, from the real estate side. At some point, even if you've got the smartest building in the world, you're going to have populations of people who are willing to be kind of nudged around, so that the building, for example, could shut a floor on a Friday when only some people are around. Say, I'm not going to condition that floor today. I'm not going to run the elevator. I've moved all your meetings. I've rebooked all your desks. I've done all the stuff. You just have to follow the nudge. And that's like the at-scale example of, communities will have to collaborate, even on the employer side, to achieve these sustainability ratings.
Yeah.
But today, most of the New York City building stock does not meet these kind of 20, 25, and 2030 requirements. And the costs are going to get passed to somebody.
Right.
It just remains to be seen who that is.
Do you think it gets baked into the HOA at some point in time?
Yeah, somebody, right. There's a rental building on my block which has a much lower rating than my building does. And I'm thinking, like, mine's a co-op, so everyone's an owner, but in that building it's a rental. They are going to add it to the fee somewhere, and I assume that will create a bit of a flight to quality, as it should.
Right. Well, Phil, I dig the Workline.
Thank you so much.
I know. At some point you're going to be at some other cool big company like WeWork or McKinsey.
I hope. Thank you so much for
one of
saying
those
that.
great places. But in the meantime, we're all enjoying the Workline, and it's really great and useful information.
I really
great to meet you
appreciate
in person as well.
Thanks.
All right.
Take care.
He's Phil. I'm Jeff. You're watching Work 20XX. Coming to you from Austin, Texas at Running Remote. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time. Take care. All right. Boom.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.